Welcome to What Lies Ahead. I'm your host, Chris Ruffini, lead singer of the Long Island band Overthrow. On my podcast, I explore everything related to the hardcore scene through the eyes of artists, promoters, and record labels. As always, please like or subscribe on all social media platforms. I'm joined by Frank from Somerset Thrower and Victory Garden. Somerset Thrower is a Long Island band that has built a unique sound that blends 90s alternative punk and post-hardcore like Godspeed and Paint My Memory. Their new album, Take Only What You Need to Survive, comes out July 11th on Smart Punk Records. We'll talk about the band's history and the new record that's coming up and what plans they have in the future. Frank, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming on.
What's up, Chris? Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. So I was very fortunate to get an advanced copy of the new album from you guys, and I really appreciate that. And it kills. It's great. And I'm excited to talk about it. I know a lot of people are excited for it to come out. You dropped two new singles that is generating a lot of buzz around the island and outside of the island, which is awesome. So I'm psyched to talk about that. And I think the timing is perfect too, because about the time when this comes out, the record's going to be coming out in a couple of days. So yeah, we'll get into that. But first, let's take a step back a little. I want to talk a little bit with you, Frank, in terms of let's talk a little about your history in music. What led to like building up, going to shows, and then from there forming bands and everything from the beginning.
Yeah, thank you for the compliment, man. That's nice to hear.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know if it's getting all that buzz, but that's great. I hope it is. I'm glad you like the record. Thanks so much. But yeah. So my history of music is like my parents, are music fans. My dad, very much like he was a big CD guy in the '90s and a record guy when he was growing up in like the '60s and '70s. He's definitely into like a lot of rock but mainly he loves like doo-wop is his main kind of thing. So growing up, me and my cousins who were my age, we would like harmonize and stuff. They would teach us how to like do harmonies, and we were, and it stuck with me. I do love all that stuff. I still love that music. And he's really into the Beatles and disco too, and the Bee Gees and shit like that. And then my mom is very much like Bruce Springsteen, and like she liked the B-52s and like the Talking Heads and stuff like that, and Bon Jovi later on, and all that kind of stuff like rock, whatever, and maybe some new wave stuff. But yeah, growing up, my always music on. My dad's always singing. He loves karaoke to this day. If you go to Ruby Soho's, you could see him doing karaoke maybe a while or so. But yeah, he's definitely the one who got me really into music, I think, as a kid, always seeing like records, like CDs laying around from like Columbia or whatever, the club. And, seeing like Nirvana CDs on the floor or like Ramones CDs and shit like that. So,
yeah. And so from there you built up, what was your first taste of, I guess, within Long Island and bands within Long Island that kind of grew you into this style of, Long Island scene, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I got first into punk through, I guess, I'd have to say like Blink-182 and Green Day, because I'm born in 1989. So I guess when I was coming of age, that was like the shit,
Yep.
Blink and Green Day, because I really love the Beatles, but then and like Smashing Pumpkins and like top 40, whatever, Red Hot Chili Peppers when I'm a little kid. And then you hear like Green Day or Blink, and you're like, oh, this is like different. Something's a little different about this. Like, what is it? And I really like related to it. And that was the first time I was like, oh, I think I could do this. Like, I want to buy a bass, or, so that was my first instrument. I walked down to Music Land with my dad, and he bought me like an Ibanez starter bass kit. And then once I started playing, I would have shows in my backyard. Like I'd have my friends' bands play, or my band would just play, and we would just chill. And my mom would get like pizza, and we were like little kids, like 13-year-old
Was
kids.
it punk like trying to be like Blink, Green Day kind of stuff at that point?
Yeah, we're covering Blink-182 and Green Day, and I'm kind of like Soul Murders bass solo from Rancid, and yeah, and that's like my friends from Lindenhurst. Like all my friends who I'm still best friends with to this day are all from Lindenhurst. All my close boys. But and then through that, I met those guys. People like Chris Smith and Tim Schmenti, who was sick. He couldn't make it today. Unfortunately, he's playing hooky. But yeah, so I met those dudes, and they really kind of got me even more. Like I knew about punk. I knew what punk was. And honestly, like getting into hardcore and the Long Island stuff, my cousin was a little older. She wasn't really into hardcore, but she went to Lindenhurst High School. She knew Silent Majority. So she put me on Silent Majority when I was little. And I was like, oh, that's a weird name. I don't know if I fuck with that name. But then I'm like, okay, this is cool. and like Snapcase and shit like that. She was putting me onto some stuff that she knew. She's like, "Oh, you like kind of this crazy music? You might like this." Um,
Mm.
so then, even in middle school, my tech teacher gave me a Punkorama 3, and
Oh,
like agnostic front on that. So I was like, "Oh, this is like heavier kind of punk,
yeah.
different." So that's when I was kind of putting all the pieces together. Then meeting Chris and Tim and my Vitalo kind of got us all into going to hardcore shows. So that's kind of my gateway. Is like the Lindenhurst crew meeting Vitalo, who went to school with Tim at St. Anthony's Catholic school. They
Okay.
met, and Vitalo's like, "Yo, you got to come to this." And Tim told all of us, so they just kind of brought us along, and then we started digging in.
Then going from there.
Yeah,
So you obviously, well, you were, it's because look, you grew up in a music household. You started playing when you were younger. You were covering Blink, Green Day, and all that kind of stuff when you were younger.
right.
Where at that point, as you're growing, going into shows, were you in bands? Were you still playing? Sounds like you always wanted to. So I was wondering at that point in time, was that going on?
Yeah, so we were playing, like I said, those little shows in my backyard with this band that I had in middle school. And then when we got into high school, we started another band called Fifth and Final. That was kind of more of like a screamo-ish band. I played,
Hmm.
my buddy screamed, and we like had breakdowns and shit. And I wasn't really super into that style of music at the time. I liked like Poison the Well at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
And this was a little more in like the I don't know, the screamo type. It was a little different. So I was like, oh, we either go heavy or like just do something different. Do something more punk. But that was that lasted for a couple years, and then we were playing. We always were jamming in Chris's basement. Chris Smith, his family always just let us rock in the basement and hang out at the house, and then go in his pool, and like they were the best. They just welcomed everyone, and we all just grew up playing guitar and drums down in his basement for fun whenever we had free time. So that's what we did. We just like, and they were so good. Like seeing Chris play guitar when I was like a little kid. He was a little older than me. I think when I was 13, he was probably 14 or 15. And like just seeing how he could play guitar so good at such a young age was really funny. And he was just like a riffer. So that made me, want to get better. And then
Mm.
they had a band, and we used, it was just like a crazy Lindenhurst scene before we really got into hardcore, like going to like, I grew up going to like Free Space and like
Yeah.
TGIF or whatever, and like a bunch of shit like that around like the early 2000s, mid 2000s. That's kind of when I started getting into like going to hardcore shows and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah, so let's jump ahead a little. We're going to get into Victory Garden for sure.
cool.
But I'll keep kind of focused a little on, look, obviously, because there's a new release coming out for you guys in Somerset Thrower. So, how did Somerset Thrower form? So, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was around 2018. Dead Broke Records, Godspeed came out, correct? So, let's fast forward a little through that time. Like, how did the band form, and then the record come about, and Dead Broke Records, and all that stuff.
Yeah. So there was a band called The Agent from Long Island. So Tim was in that band. Connor, who plays bass in Somerset, was in that band, and some of our other friends. And when that band broke up, we were all, me, Connor, and Tim were just hanging out, and we were like, oh, we should do a band. We were listening to a lot of different stuff. We were listening to like this band Garden Variety from Long
Yeah.
Island. Great, that a lot of people don't know, but they're really sick. We fuck with them a lot. And then obviously we listen to like Silent Majority and all those bands, but also listening to like Seaweed and Fugazi, and like
Yeah.
be like a little Swerve Driver at the time, and just trying to like blend a weird kind of rocking, kind of like aggressive melodic thing. So that's kind of how it started, and that was around like 2012, 2013. I remember Tim hurt his ankle or his foot or something. He couldn't play for like a few months. So then we kind of like were just writing. Tim and I would write guitar parts, and then we Tim kind of brought John in, who was in a few other bands like Polygon from Long Island, and Sick of Talk actually. So we all were going to similar shows and stuff, and kind of just formed. And I guess John was going to Starbucks when Tim worked there or something like that, and Tim was like, "Oh, do you want to play guitar?" We formed around 2013, put out a little demo with 2 songs, and then we did the Falling Swingers EP that came out in like 2015,
Okay.
something like that. And then we were playing, we played the Silent Majority reunion, the second one, and that was really cool around that time, I believe. Yeah, and then we were gearing up. We did a split with this band Mouth,
Mm.
uh, and then we were gearing up for like the first full length, and we did that with Anthony Corallo, he plays drums in Kill Your Idols, but he records a lot of different shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has the label Chronic Death. Tone's our boy. He's played with us before when Tim couldn't make it. He's like our homie.
Hmm.
Around that time, that's kind of how we started. We were all hanging out. We all were bored. We wanted to do something different, and that was it. We kind of had the same focus of like what we wanted to sound like. So I think that's where the common denominator was.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all those bands you mentioned, you hear all of it, but your own style. And it's kind of almost like I it's I when I listen to you guys, it's like I just think of the summertime and
Oh,
like I could hear you guys also, and I'm gonna date myself here and I'm not and I don't care. I honestly feel like it's like it could be on one of those, but in a 2025 way, especially with the new album. There's some songs I could hear it on like an American Pie soundtrack, or I could hear it on like Karen Holly Wade. Like I love those movies, and
no, that's cool.
just
Yeah.
yeah, and it just has that like upbeat. It's really good. The new album. I think people are gonna love it when it drops.
I hope
So
so.
yeah, so let's get actually before we get into the album actually. So how did you connect with Smart Punk?
Dude, I so Smart Punk was because like I've always heard of Smart Punk, and like the fest and their affiliation with that, and then like they had a distro, and I just thought of them as like just like they're like a record store, kind of like online record store thing or whatever. And then our friends in Taking Meds, we did a little tour with them, whenever that was, right after COVID, I guess. Everything
Mhm.
got better, and did a short little stint with them in the Midwest, and then they were like, "Oh yeah," like we were looking, we didn't know where to go, we didn't know what to do, and they're like, "Yeah, hit up Smart Punk, maybe they'll do it." They put out our stuff, and they're cool. So I literally just emailed them randomly, and they emailed us back. We spoke to Matt from Smart Punk, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll give you some money." And that was the only person we talked to. That was
That's
it.
great. It just works out that way sometimes, right?
We emailed them. Yeah, man, it worked out. I like literally just on a whim emailed them. Was like, "Hey, do you want to put out a record?" He's like, "Yep, here we go. Let's
Did
do
you
it."
happen to have any rehearsal material, or any songs at that point, or just more of obviously they knew you had two full lengths. Was it more of like, hey, we're looking to write a new album, and it worked out that way?
Yeah, I think they were familiar with us, which was great. And then I think we sent them some demos that we had
Okay.
with some early demos of the new songs. Yeah, and those probably sounded like shit. So it's really cool that they still believed in us. So yeah, shout out to Matt from Smart Punk. He's our boy.
Nah, that's awesome, and it's great to hear it goes that like it was just like that and that simple. But you guys put the work in for years, but prior to that, and you had a couple of full lengths out that were great before it. So there was equity there prior to you reaching out. So that's great to hear. So let's talk the new album. We'll go from track 1 to 10. And with it, I'll bring up the track and it just talk about the writing process of it lyrically, some of the stuff that was going over it, and what you guys would had to come together and stuff like that. So first track of the album is a great one, "Free Time." In terms of what you open it up with is a really 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 good song. It really is. It kicks in quick. You just after you hear it the first time, it just kind of sticks with you the
Yeah.
whole day in an amazing way. So let's talk about "Free Time."
Yeah. So Free Time. What was Free Time? Free Time was one of the later songs we wrote for this, but it's a
Hmm.
riff that we had, Tim and I, and actually Somerset. I think our first set of demos had riffs from this song in it, and we just didn't know what to do with it at the time. Some of it reminds us of Fugazi, I think we said, and it came together, man. Like it was kind of one of those things where like we have this, we want to use it, and I think it was like crunch time, and we needed to get some more songs for the record. So I just kind of dug it up from back then and reworked it, and I think it came out sick. And the lyrical content is, it's interesting. I don't know what it really truly is about, but I mean, I was just feeling some type of way about something I couldn't control, I guess.
Hmm.
How when you have free time, you're left to your own devices, kind of like the idle hands of the devil's playground kind of shit. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and it's just kind of self-reflective. It's kind of me thinking about maybe some other people too. There's always like a lot going on. I don't really specifically say I'm going to write about this. I just kind of let it flow and see where it takes me, kind of thing. So I like
Mhm.
that. I like the interpretation. I like everyone's kind of get from it what they will on their own.
Yeah,
Personal.
and it sounds like that one came together at towards the end, and
Yeah.
did it come together quick?
Yeah, I mean, it came together rather quick. It was pretty simple verse, chorus, and then like outro kind of shit. And it was a good. I think Tim was like, "Yo, we need to open the record with this song," and we were all like, "Yeah, nothing else really makes as
weren't
much.
feeling any other. Yeah, yeah. That
Yeah,
was my next question. It was like, it
yeah,
just like, yeah, this is. It just felt it like this was the opener, right?
yeah, it rocks. I mean, it just feel when we play it, it's like crazy. Like I'm like my diaphragm is like crunching, and I'm like I really have to like dig in to play this song. It's cool. I like playing it a lot at practice, so I'm stoked to play it live. But yeah, man, it's a cool song. I'm proud of it. I like the chorus. I sent it to my buddy Mark from Super Crush, and he said that he's like, "Yo, huge chorus on that one." And like once he told me that, I was like, "All right, cool. This must be catchy because he writes the most catchy shit I've ever heard in my
Yeah,
life."
no, it is. What I tell you, like you hear it once, and it's just it was in my head all day after.
Yeah,
And so it
cool,
is absolutely great, great first song.
cool.
Next single, it's Motor City, which was actually your second single off the record. Let's talk that.
Yeah, so Motor City is like we back to Taking Meds. Our friend Skylar Sarkis and his homies from Taking Meds, they're all our boys. We had a great time with them when we first met them. They just asked us to do a little 3 or 4 day tour with them in the Midwest. It was great. The first day we met was Motor City. We played a show together. We hung out, like laughed really hard, and it just like I think it was after shit was we were locked up for a while and just getting back to it felt good and we were like, oh, this is awesome, like this makes us feel good about playing again.
Mm,
It's not weird, like we were just happy to be there for the first time in a while. You know what I mean? It was refreshing to like get out and play. And then the song like reflects just kind of on, it's about a lot of things, but I guess the band is like kind of a staple of that song. I never really wrote a song about our band, I don't think, before.
mm,
So it's kind of cool to like, I was like, oh, that would be cool to write a song about us. You know what I mean? So it's loosely kind of about us, about that show, about like the trip, that whole trip, and the way back. We drove through like a crazy snowstorm. Tim, Connor, and I back from Chicago back to Long Island. So that
mm.
was cool. There's some shit about that in there, I guess. And then it's about kind of putting yourself out, like the center frame shit. It's like putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, doing what you want to do, no matter what anyone thinks, just doing you, that's
Yeah,
really,
no, that's actually a great theme for it. So actually, to ask you, how did that? Did you have that idea in mind, or it just you heard the song and the music, or when the music was made, that just jumped at you? It was like, oh, you know what, this would be some kind of cool subject to write about here.
yeah, that's a good point. That is how it happened because Tim wrote the music to that song. Actually, Tim had the riff. Tim
Okay.
and then the rest of the song, I'm pretty sure he had all of it. And then we kind of just, you know, moved it around. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, this is sick. We were all like, yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Um, and then I think it just, yeah, I didn't premeditate any of the lyrics. It kind of, you get a melody and then you get some words and then you're like, oh, this is about this. I can go deeper into this fucking well or whatever, So yeah,
Mhm.
the music influences the lyrics because the melody kind of comes naturally and then you kind of fit in the words with the melody is how I do it personally.
Mhm. No, makes absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next song, the third song, which was the first single in a video, you have "Never Going to Therapy."
Yeah. Never going to therapy. That was the first one we wrote for this record. At first I didn't think it was like, I was like, oh, this is super catchy. I'll use this for some other stupid shit.
Hmm.
Uh, they liked it. And I was like, all right, I don't know if it's a Somerset Thrower song. It's kind of like different. It's a little too happy or something. I don't know what it is. Cause I feel like we're always kind of like, I don't know. It, it just didn't feel right at first. But then once we kept playing it and they kind of were saying, hey, this is a cool song. And like when we play it like at practice, we'd be like, oh yeah, there's something here. Like it feels really fun to play. Um, and that's another one that's kind of like I wrote that one. And I'm very self-conscious about the shit I write. So once I have these dudes who are my best friends who I trust, they're like, oh, this is good. And I'm like, all right, I trust you.
Mhm.
But and then the lyrical content is just like, you know, this is my therapy kind of shit. It's just about like, you're when you're playing music, you're super happy. It gives you something to do. It could be very positive. Some people make it negative. You can make it positive if you want to. It's about a bunch of shit, I guess. But I'm trying to think of the lyrics now off the top of my head. But yeah, it's kind of just reflecting, back in the day and just being appreciative and not taking things for granted, kind of thing. I guess.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it was a great choice for a first single. I mean, there was a lot. It's tough when you have 10 of them. You probably could have went with, but that was a great choice. And it's interesting. You say you initially were thinking, you didn't even know if it would even make the cut because of some of the stuff that you were saying, and then it ends up being the first single. It's crazy how those things work out, you know?
Funny. It's very funny, and I want to shout out John Markson who produced the record. He's our boy,
Yeah,
but
it sounds fun. I meant to say it sounds great.
he's insane, and he's so good. He's doing a lot of cool shit. Always, he does Drunk Church, he does Koyo,
Mm,
and everything in between. He's really he's amazing, you know, and he's great to work with. But why did I go on this tangent about John? Oh, because he was the one who was kind of like, oh, this is going to be the hit. This is going to be awesome. And like, he kind of helped us to like make the intro a little longer and just do a guitar because we wanted to be like right away. And, you know, he had little good ideas that we were like, oh, this is great, you know? And we had a good back and forth relationship throughout the whole recording process. It was very fulfilling for us because we never got to we recorded this over like the span of a year basically because
mm,
we all work. So we can't go out there for 3 weeks or whatever at a time. So we would do chunks like a week here, a week there, and then I would do vocals, you know, on weekends and stuff. And it was a super fun, creative process. We'd go swim in his parents' pool or go to
mm.
the fucking bar and eat wings and whatever. So it was just a
You made fun out of it, right? Like, and that's how it
very,
should be. Yeah,
it
that's
was fun.
great.
And yeah, it helped the process. And John had a lot to do with therapy and us realizing how cool therapy could be, you know. So
Cool. No,
so,
that's great.
yeah.
Great song. Next, fourth track, Brooklyn Zoo.
Brooklyn Zoo. This is another one that Tim had written the music too. Yeah, I love this one. We practiced last night and we played this one. I was like, yo, this one is really fun to play live. It feels like it's kind of back to like our roots, the shit that we kind of started playing early on, and just kind of like that Midwest shit, or maybe a little Fugazi or whatever. I don't know. We thought like Drive Like Jehu was like a big influence for that one, or whatever shit like that. So we were yeah, we were stoked on that one, and we even got, because it sounded like that, we got John Reese to do a little like riff at the end of that song. He actually played guitar on it. John Reese from Hot Snakes and Drive Like Jehu, and
Mhm.
yeah, Roger from the Crypt. So that was really sick. But yeah, this song is kind of another thing. We called it Brooklyn Zoo because we practice right next to this place that always comes up on my phone as Brooklyn Zoo. I don't know why, but I think we always saved like a voice memo, and it was Brooklyn Zoo because that's the location or whatever. So we called it that. But the subject matter of this has to do with a friend going through like a hard time, and me
Mhm.
just like trying to talk to them and like not getting through kind of thing, and just kind of being sarcastic a bit, but also, you know, just kind of me just addressing this in the form of a song, basically.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
great.
it's kind of, yeah. That also just came randomly. I didn't premeditate it. I just started writing, and I was like, oh, this is about this, I guess. You know, I want to get this off my chest, like maybe, you know.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's great.
And
So, Hole in the World, the fifth song.
Hole in the World. That's the Graveyard one. Yeah, that's like our Alkaline Trio fucking song or something. Yeah, I
I
don't
could
know.
hear what you're saying with that. I actually, as you
Yeah,
said that, I could hear that piece of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little got like kind of dark imagery of like, you know, death and zombies eating people or whatever. I don't
Mhm.
even. But yeah, I guess I was playing a lot of like Resident Evil on PS5 at that time, and I was like, oh, let me write a song about this. But no, that's another one about. I'm thinking about like the town, and like a lot of people from Lindenhurst, which is the town that I grew up in. You know, you could see people either rise or fall. You know, sometimes like this town could just take you away, and you just become something that you never were. Like I have a bunch of friends who kind of were great people, and then you just see them slowly just change and get sucked away into this town, into the night, and that's kind of what this song is about. And just you know, just that kind of stuff. It's just me reflecting on like, I guess, friends that I lost to drugs or to
Hmm.
shit or to suicide or to whatever. So I kind of think I'm kind of just thinking about that kind of thing during that song.
And again, you felt it with the music, and then that's how it came about, which is great.
Yeah, that riff was like a happy riff at first. I was like, oh, this is like a cool little, you know, it kind of reminded me of like Guided by Voices or something like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I guess yeah, I mean that song's cool. It's very, I feel like that song is pretty catchy actually compared to like some of the other shit we did. So that's cool. We took a little
Really,
different.
another good one. It is.
Thanks.
So I guess this sixth song, which I guess would be the second side of the vinyl, right? Sidearm.
Sidearm. I really like this one. Not just because I wrote it, but I this one's cool. This one's also addressing kind of like like, you know, past relationships and, you know, old friends who kind of, you know, fucked you over or whatever. You know, just kind of talking to them like, oh, I guess kind of like I had in my head, this is it's like your trusty sidearm. You can always trust the sidearm to do what it does. And I'm kind of just like looking at the person and being like, yeah, I can always trust you to be yourself. You know what I mean? That kind of,
Mhm, mhm.
yeah. Simply
That's
put.
great. That's great. No, it's great. Song 7, "The Losing Streak."
Yeah. So this one's about a few things too. The music for this one is cool. I like how this one turned out. It was kind of experimental in the studio with John, and we all kind of just were able to like fuck around and like do some crazy delay and feedback over the end and like just kind of layer stuff. So that was fun. And then, but yeah, the subject matter for this song again is more stuff probably relating to like friends. This one actually is more specifically about one friend who who died kind of recently.
Mm,
And it's like, I feel like every record is kind of like a story or what I'm thinking about the years after the last record. So
mhm.
that's kind of where I'm at now with the subject matter for this. Like the shit that happened to me in the last 5 years since Pain My Memory is kind of what's coming up in this, and things I'm thinking about. So that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, it's just that everything I'm hearing from, I know we have a few more here, but it's like
Yeah.
you have a lot of stories and stuff that you talk about with situations and experiences you have, but it is also incredibly personal in some of the stuff that you have, which has to be when you're playing it like in a good way, I would think. Incredibly therapeutic in a good way, right? I mean, to
Yeah,
do
that's oh man, for sure. It's definitely therapeutic. Sometimes it's like when you're in the middle of it, you're like, "Holy shit!" I'm like singing this to people, like, "What the fuck?" But
Mhm.
yeah, cool. Like I enjoy it, and I do it because I want to, and it's like it is. It's that's a good way to put it. It's like therapeutic, and that's
Yeah.
like there's a lot of themes about that on the record too. You know what I mean?
Sounds like it. Just as we're, and that's what's great about when we get to go track to track here. We can hear, what was the thought behind each song in terms of when you were writing it, and like there's a lot of thought into all of it,
Yeah.
honestly. Um, the eighth song, "Bad Luck Mirror."
Bad Luck Mirror. This is kind of like our Gorilla Biscuit song or something. It's like
Mhm,
our posse, song. It's straightforward. There's some parts on this song that remind me of kind of of that other band Agent, and I think we're tapping into like kind of like you know, yeah, like the message is kind of positive, and I feel like I don't really write like super like positive like messages I guess in the songs, but I feel like this one kind of was, and I like that. I kind of leaned into it, and it has a pretty big chorus, and it's I like this one a lot. It's fun to play. Connor wrote the music to this one, so and
cool.
from Agent. So I guess that's why it reminds me of some Agent shit. But there's the bridge of this song reminds me of Agent for some reason. I don't know why, but
Mhm,
something hits that note for me. But
cool.
yeah, I like that one a lot. The subject matter,
Modern Speed. So Modern Speed.
modern, yeah, modern speed. Yeah, this one's cool. There's another Tim riff. Um, yeah, this song's cool. It's heavy. I remember us like when we had the song and it was like straightforward, and I think we changed the beginning to like kind of be like slow, and I feel like that kind of made it hit a little bit harder when the vocals came in. So we were happy about that. But yeah, the subject matter for this is kind of me just thinking about being a freak and driving really fast because that's how I drive, and I kind of aggressively. So
Mhm.
and my wife's always like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Down. There's a cop right there, and I'm like, I don't fucking care. But so it's me kind of reflecting like, oh, I'm a psychopath. I don't drive unsafe. I pick my moves, okay?
Yeah.
But no, so it's just me kind of like fantasizing about like driving crazy and just like what would happen if you didn't stop or something. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If you didn't
That's
slow.
cool. That's actually a cool, yeah, that's cool. It's like, and I didn't, listening to it, didn't realize that. And it's cool. It puts like a different like
Right.
twist on when I'm listening to it, which is pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, bro.
Cool. Last track, Shine Box.
Shinebox. I dig this one a lot. This is one I wrote. Um, and it's cool. Yeah, this one kind of came together. We didn't know if it was gonna, this one reminds me of the way it came together. There's a song called Des Moines that we had on Godspeed. It's the last song too on Godspeed, and I feel like that one came together similar to Shinebox in the way that I had all these riffs, and I didn't know really how to put them together, and it was crunch time too. This is one of the last ones that we did too for other record, and I just kind of put them together and was like, let's see what happens. And we had the music down. It sounded like it was somewhat of a structure. Then I wrote the words, and I was able to record it with John with his input, and we did a bunch of harmonies, and then it came out how you hear it now. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
damn, we did that? Like, how did that happen? You know, because it was so unplanned and just it came together really cool. I like that one a lot. It has like a rival schools y kind of part at the end, like build up thing, and it's super catchy and it's got like the Long Island shout out. So yeah, that one I was thinking about a lot of my friends too. And there's different verses or lines about different people. Um, yeah, not to get too deep because no one knows who these people are, but yeah, like that's really all I could say about it. But I want people to listen to it and kind of get their own thing from it. You know what I mean?
That's cool. Yeah. So, like I said, a great record, and it honestly sounds with well, there's like a brotherhood with you guys, and then that's huge. And you could tell with the writing, and it comes across with the writing. But you could tell that the writing is also actually not tell. You're saying it is
Hmm.
very collaborative when you guys are writing your music.
Yeah, for sure. We it's democratic. We all are like boys. We just work as like a very a very tight unit when we're writing because we're just chilling. It's very easy to write with them. You know, it's never been like, oh, the crazy drummer who doesn't show up or who's fucking breaking shit when whatever. It's never been like that. We're all just homies who just like to chill and we like to write music and we're just in a room together anyway. So we might as well play music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it comes across on the album here. So, are there any songs that you wrote that didn't make it?
Yeah, there's maybe four that we wrote.
Like completed songs? Did you record them? I'm sorry.
We recorded them. We demoed them with John. So
Okay.
they proper recordings, and then we recorded. I think two of them we recorded ourselves. So there's four, two of which kind of got properly recorded, but just in like John did it, but not like fully. So it still sounds okay. It still sounds pretty good for like a demo that John did, but then
Mhm.
the demos we did are not as good. So yeah, there's probably four that we scrapped for this record. Um,
Ever see the light of day or use I mean, look, you're all in on this album right now, or is it
yeah.
parts of it that maybe, or you just haven't even thought of that piece yet, you know?
No, we're thinking about the next step. We want to keep writing. We're in a kind
Cool.
of, we'll get back to writing soon. That's our favorite part, I think, is just the writing process and the recording process. We love that. We love playing too, and we're excited to play. But just writing is very fun for us, and it's exciting when you get new shit going. But yeah, they might. There's one that I think Tim had brought it up the other day. He's like, "Oh, that one was kind of cool," and it was really cool. It was one that him and I kind of wrote together, which we do sometimes. Tim and I like "Say Hello," the last song on "Pay My Memory." We wrote that one together, and that's one of my favorite songs that we have. I think that one came out cool. But
Good.
yeah. So they could definitely see the light of day. There's nothing off the table.
So I wanted to ask, so you obviously as a you write a lot, if not all, the lyrics for the band, and you put a lot of time into them, obviously, right? So some of these songs, these four songs, have lyrics. Are there anything in there you're like, damn, I like what I wrote here? Like where it would where you know what I mean? Like you like the theme of it, the chorus maybe something you like, or there's a line or something where you're like, yeah, I have to get this just because of that, because of the time you put into the lyrics. That it's like, yeah, I want to get these to see the light of day.
Yeah, dude. I'm so like. I wish I like lived in the moment and was like very much more like I just don't have any self praise. I just think that everything I write sucks, and I
Mhm.
just don't, like
Well, it doesn't. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, you got
no, yeah, no. But yeah, dude, I just yeah, I'm happy that some of these like when I listen to it now, I'm like, all right, I'm glad I said that there. I always have critiques and I'm like my own biggest critic, but I am proud of this record. I'm proud of the
great.
lyrics, proud of the vocals and all the music, obviously, but I'm proud of the like I think I stepped it up a bit as like a singer. I think we all stepped it up. Like Stipple, our guitarist, he stepped it up on his game, like riffs and doing stuff and Tim stepped it up on drums and writing, and Connor stepped it up on bass. Like we all kind of just like rose to the occasion because we had a really great opportunity from Smart Punk to work with John. So, it's been dope. We're
Cool.
stoked. Yeah.
Comes across. It comes across for sure, man. So how did you? So we talked about the first track. How did you go about structuring the album's track list here with the 10 songs? Like you love, like Shinebox, you were like, you love that one. You just felt like that was the end. That's the way you wanted to end it off. Like how'd you go about doing all that?
Yeah, man, it's weird. We always kind of like we all have a similar idea, and we'll all send our lists, our track listing to each other, like the few months before we have to make the final decision, and it's always kind of like changing a little bit, and then some of us are like taking sides with the other one, and like then we're like, oh wait, actually this is better, and then but yeah, we're really good about just kind of like being democratic and just fucking coming together and being like, this is we have to make decisions, so let's
Mhm.
all agree to disagree or whatever. But Shinebox is cool as the last song, I'll say, because it has the guitar solo, and it says something like I'm the worst at long goodbyes or something, and that's kind of like once I didn't realize that, and then once I thought about that, I was like, okay, that's cool, So
It's a cool way to end this off. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. And I
yeah.
see what you mean.
Flow. It's just whatever feels good after one song ends. What song do you want to hear next, and just try to fit it into place.
Yeah, it does. It does flow perfectly though, the way the 10 songs go though. It really does.
Nice.
So next, you guys announced some shows. You have a bunch coming up. We'll be about a little less than a month from now when this drops
Mhm.
in August, and there's some other things I'm sure you have coming up. So have you guys thought about how you're going to structure your set list? Because now you have a lot of new songs. You have a pretty decent catalog. You have older ones that people are going to want to hear, but I'm sure it sounds like you're excited about each one of these 10 songs that you have here. So how do you go about structuring your set list? Have you thought about that? Obviously, if a headlining show, you're going to be doing it differently. But if you're another show that where you have you don't have as much time, you might like moving in and out. Have you given an idea of how you're going to go about that?
Right. Yeah. We were talking about this last night at practice. We're like, what songs are we going to pick? And like, I'm like, all right, I think we should not play 1, 2, and 3. And then John's like, oh, we got to play 1, 2. I'm like, yeah, like we all, we want to play all of them. And we'll get there. We'll probably be able to play all of them at some point or another. But I think we're gonna just try to go with our gut and be like, hey, what do we want to play? What do we think people want to hear? We'll figure it out. I have no idea what we're gonna do, but I think obviously the singles will have to be played, just because I like playing them and I like those songs. And then we'll probably throw in a few of the other deeper cuts in there, and then maybe some older shit for the set list. But yeah, we're playing. We announced those shows July 31st and August 1st, from Boston and TVI in New York. So
Yeah, those should be really good. So are there songs like is your goal, well not a goal, but do you feel with this new album, like, yeah, at some point as we're playing out, every one of these songs are gonna get played at some point in time.
yeah, I mean, I think everyone's down. You know what I mean? There's nothing off the table. Like if somebody in a year from now is like, oh, we want to play this song, like, yeah, fuck it, let's try it. We if it sounds shitty at practice, maybe we'll be like, nah. But all the songs sound pretty good right now, so I think we have some more practices, so we'll see what happens. Maybe
Yeah,
some.
have you have did you play any of these songs live? Like at any shows prior, like while you were recording or even before? Or no one these have never been played live before until you have those shows coming up?
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we played any of these live. No, that's not true. We played an early version of Bad Luck Mirror uh,
Oh.
at in Brooklyn with family dinner, and
Mhm.
it's a random version of that. It wasn't done. I didn't have the lyrics. We kind of just winged it, and just it didn't
Mhm.
sound great. The dude's like,
Mhm.
"Hey, you want a copy of your recording?" We're like, "No, we're good, bro. Thanks." Yeah, that was the only time we played that, and it changed a lot since then. So I don't,
So
pro-
technically, yeah, not really, kind
yeah,
of in theory, I guess,
yeah,
right?
exactly, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can't with this album. You can with the two singles of Motor City and Never Go Back to Therapy, but they're the new singles. But do you look at like you go on Spotify and look at the streams of your songs when you're playing and like or you go more of on feel and songs that you enjoy the most in terms
Yeah,
of the set list?
really that our streams on Spotify are really nothing to shake a stick at or whatever the fuck they say.
Mhm.
But it just is what it is. We no, we don't. I'll look at the numbers on Spotify, but it doesn't influence my
What you do.
what I play. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
There's songs that have some listens on there that I probably don't want to play right now. But like, yeah,
It's
it's all
funny it's funny you say that. That happens too, even, when speaking with other bands on here, it's like some of them are like, "Yeah, I look on Spotify and like, that song has that many streams," they're, like, kind of surprised by that. Sometimes it's who knows, gets on a playlist, it does whatever the case may be
yeah,
whatever it does, and it gets out there,
yeah. It has a life of its own sometimes. Yeah, it's a weird world we live in now with it is what it is. Street
Mhm. Yeah,
numbers.
I meant to ask you this actually, go back a sec to the new record. So we talked about how you picked "Never Going to Therapy" as the first single, but and the second was "Motor City." Was Motor City always planned, or did you guys have an idea? Did you know while you were recording, like, no, this is it. This should be the single, or you didn't even think of that until it was all done. You listened to a finished product, and then you guys sat, spoke, and came up with what you thought should come out next.
Yeah, I mean, we try not to get too ahead of ourselves and be like, "Oh, this is going to be the best." We're not like those kind of dudes. We're like, let's just make the coolest shit we can. This one feels like therapy felt like you said, like a college rock or like American Pie kind of song. Like I could see us playing in like a party or something like with that song or something. So we don't have, we didn't really plan like, oh, this is going to be the single, this is going to be that. I think once things start coming together, you kind of get an inkling. You're like, oh, this could be cool, but it's really towards the end once you hear the vocals and you hear the mixing going on, and you're like, all right, I see where this is going. So yeah, and I think we picked Motor City because that's upbeat and it's fun. Um, Therapy has the big chorus, and then Shinebox is another kind of chorusy song, and it kind of was just we just vibed to that song. Thought it was just a good one. I think John said that he really liked that one. But yeah, that one was almost cut too. Shinebox. Markson
Uh,
was like, "You guys should put this one on the record," and we were like, "Okay."
hmm.
we so, but it came out cool. I'm stoked on that. But yeah, that's really how we just kind of pick it by feel. We all agree, then we're good.
Yeah, oh, that's great. So I actually do want to like take a quick turn into Victory Garden for a little bit because
Oh yeah,
Victory Garden did release a new EP last year.
yeah.
Right? It was last year. It was really good.
Thank
By the time this comes out, I'm going to already seen you guys with Drain at AMH. I'm looking forward to that one. It's going to be good with Drain and Deadshot. So let's talk about Victory Garden. What's going on since the release of that EP, and what's some of the plans for you guys?
Yeah, man, we're playing. We're in the middle of writing some new shit. It's really cool. We're kind of yeah, we're just locking in. We love to play, but I think we want to write. We want to focus on writing soon. So Chris and Danny and John have a bunch of songs that they've been working on for a long time. I kind of joined the band. I've always been playing with the band because Michael Smith, who's in Pain of Truth, he used to play bass,
Mhm.
but he's Chris's and Danny's little brother. We've all been friends forever. He comes and goes, or back in when they started, he came and went, so I would fill in. And obviously he's doing big things now with Pain of Truth, so
Yeah.
they'll just be in the band. And Michael's still in the group text with all of us in the Victory Road chat, so like we're all like saying funny shit. But yeah, dude, I love Victory Garden. It satisfies that itch for me to play like Fat Records bass, or like shit that I grew up on that we were talking about earlier. It's really fun. I love that band. Super like very just Long Island melodic hardcore, fun punk. It's good shit.
It's good. It's catchy. It's great. And on the good side of Bad Times is it's a really good EP. So do you guys
Yeah.
have new songs? Well, you're writing, so I'm sure you do. Are you thinking of singles, so EP? You thinking of full length, or it's just kind of how it goes, kind of thing?
Here now we have a bunch of material. We're focusing on a few right now. It's really cool. Like I said, I'm super into it because it's just cool to see where each song goes, because we're kind of doing, it's a cool world to write songs in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And everyone kind of writes in that band too, so that's another fun thing.
Collaborative, like
And
some
think about
Somerset, or yeah.
like that. We're just thinking about writing the best shit we can. You know what I mean? That's really it. So yeah, just super early in the writing process. We have a lot of ideas, but we just need to like hone in on, you know, exactly what it's going to be, and then yeah, hopefully we get either an EP or a full length out, sooner rather than later.
Cool. So I know, like, again, this will be out by the people will probably have already been to the show by the time. But so for next week for the show, the set list looks like you played a lot off the EP, or you got to kind of mix and match a lot of stuff. The new
Yeah,
EP. I'm sorry.
yeah. We're playing, definitely playing a lot from the new EP, and then the other EP is great, so we play the staples from that one. And
Cool.
those old ones always get a good reaction. I'm hoping the new ones kind of start getting a good reaction from people. So, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that should be a great show. Yeah, that should be fun, that one. So I guess the question is, so what's the plan moving forward? You kind of give an idea. You could talk with Victory Garden as well here, but with Somerset Row, obviously, you have a couple shows coming up. Is there any tours coming up you got planned, or weekend stuff? Like, what's the rest of this year look like for you guys with this
Yeah,
record?
we're working on it. We have some ideas. We want to do as much as we can. Tim just had a baby, so
Uh,
we're stoked on that. Everyone's just hanging out, but we're trying to get some stuff together. We want to play out. We want to play wherever we can. Honestly, I would love to go overseas. I would love to go to like Japan or Europe or whatever, Australia and all that shit. I would love to play out, in fucking Boston. You know what I mean? So it's to me, it's awesome just playing out of Long Island, playing in Long Island, whatever. I'm just excited to see what we do. But we're working on plans. Nothing's solidified yet, but we'll do a few runs. We're good for like a week here, a week there, some weekend.
mhm.
So we'll see what we come up with.
And again, from the beginning of this conversation, same excitement when you were younger. It's like the same thing. You just love playing, right? So So yes, that should be great, and I'm sure. And honestly, probably by the time this comes out, maybe some things will be announced by then that are in the works.
Sure.
Quick, one last question here, and then I'll ask you a bunch of questions. You tell me first thing that comes to mind. But my last thing is it's not even music related, but I always like asking this question: what advice, if you could go back in time, you would give yourself as a teenager? Go back, you speak to young Frank, and you want to give words of wisdom to him. What would you say?
Let's say don't smoke weed. No, I'm just kidding. I was you smoke weed. No, I don't know. I guess I would say don't. Um, I don't know, man. What would I say to myself? That's a good question. I guess I would just say that, yo, like, have fun. Don't overthink it. Just like go for it. I don't know. Maybe there's been times where I made decisions based on like safety or comfort rather than like going for it. But I guess we all have that. But
Yeah, for
yeah, I'm
sure. And
progress.
your answer is a similar sentiment to a lot of people that have been on here and even people I've spoke to. It's just you go back in time. It's almost like overthinking things a little too much and worrying too much about other people and what they think and just do it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't even think I was worrying about other people. I think I was worrying about myself too much or something. Like,
Mhm.
can I do it? Should I do it? Is this a bad move for me? Like kind of that thing. I never really gave a fuck what people thought about me, but I definitely
Mhm.
thought about how I'm gonna fuck my life up or whatever, making certain decisions. But yeah, I'm happy where I ended up. I gotta say, I'm
Yeah,
lucky. I'm blessed.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man. So here's a bunch of questions. First thing that comes to mind, obviously elaborate if you can, if you want to. I mean, so
I
what's
was
a favorite tour you've been on? And that could be, it doesn't have to be like 3 weeks or 2 months. I'm talking, even if you did a weekend with something. What was your favorite tour you've ever done before?
so yeah, we've done a couple like short little tours. But I was thinking about this because I listened to your Brendan Garone. Shout out to Brendan
Mm,
and Cindy.
yeah.
So I was waiting for this segment. But yeah, I think it would have to be the backtrack tour we did with them. Their final tour,
Oh, cool.
California and Vegas, and that was amazing because they're all our
That's
boys.
sick.
Tim and I have played in backtrack back in the day. We
Yeah.
both played bass at different times. Like back in the day, I played on yeah, whatever. Um, and it was awesome just that they asked us to do that with them because they're like our old friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just had a blast. We
Yeah,
stayed
I
at
could imagine.
yeah,
Sounds like it.
yeah,
How could it not be, right? That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It was amazing. We stayed at the Hooters Hotel. We just fucking gambled and just had a great time. It was a blast, man. It was like no other tour I'll probably ever be on again, but it was a good time. That was definitely my favorite tour.
Awesome. Song you wrote, you might have said it before, but I'm going to ask it again. Song you wrote that you're most proud of.
I don't know if I'd say I don't know. Am I proud of any of them? I guess song I'm most proud of. I like I liked Funeral Vibe for a while. I don't know why. It just felt like that's a song off the Paint My Memory record, but I don't know. It just felt very like kind of like a different vibe for us, more like groovy and just kind of like rock, like just kind of slower rocking, almost like I don't even know what I would call it, but like a teenage fan club kind of like vibe
Mhm.
or something. But it was still kind of heavy. I like that song a lot. I like that song Eject, even though I wish my vocals were better. I do like the idea of the song Eject that we had on Godspeed that Phil Douglas recorded. He recorded that one song. Tone recorded the rest, but Phil recorded that one song. And I thought that song came out really cool. But I'm really proud of the songs on this new record too. Like, yeah, like I can't really. I don't know if I could pick one straight because I'm not like somebody who like you know toots my own horn too much. But
Mhm.
yeah, pick one. I don't know. What's your favorite? I'm curious to know.
I like the first song track.
The first track, right? Free
Yeah,
time.
I do, and then there's a bunch of others as well. Like I liked Brooklyn Zoo as well. I
All right.
actually like those two, and the singles are good too.
Hell
But
yeah.
I just remember Free Time. Like I still remember that song was in my head even after I finished the album.
All right. Good. Good.
Yeah,
That's good to know. Makes
yeah,
you back and fucking start it over.
exactly. So when I come see you in July, you should definitely open with that song. So if I'm coming,
That's one that we're gonna need to play live.
yeah, yeah, that's like a must play almost. What's your favorite album
My favorite album of all time.
for you? I
Oh,
apologize.
for Somerset.
I'm gonna get into that other one. Yeah, I'll get into your.
It's gonna be this new one is my favorite. It's
Yeah.
gotta I gotta give the stupid typical answer.
But it has to be, right?
Yes.
Just yeah, it has to be though, right? It's just if to me, like being in a band and you have new material coming out, the new stuff should be your favorite stuff. Not because it's new, but it's because it's exciting. It's exciting. It's typically been and like you guys, you have your sound, but you've progressed with it clearly, And the way I described, how I described the feeling I have when I listen to you guys, but it's so much more sophisticated than that. I just want to say, by the way, in terms of what you do, but this one, like your last two records are really good. This one's almost like blows them away, and those two records are great, So
Thank you, bro.
absolutely for sure,
Thanks, man. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the production's on another level. I feel like we all stepped it up, and like working with John is just like an incredible experience for me, for all of them. You know what I mean? We had the best time, and that was yeah, it's like something I'll never forget. That was definitely my favorite recording process, as long as it took, which was upsetting sometimes. Like at the end of the day,
Mm.
we had a blast when we were there, and the finished product is like undeniable. Like we definitely stepped it up from our last record. So.
Agreed. There's never a moment of frustration. Never a moment of frustration that goes on. Like there's always that some little you get frustrated a little while there's a recording. Not at somebody, but it always goes that way.
Yeah, it's not a race; it's a
Here
marathon.
and there, here and there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Favorite state to play outside of New York?
So we're doing this show in Boston because we've always gotten a lot of love in Boston. I feel like people, they're just cool there and they fuck with us. So I like Boston a lot. I mean, playing California, there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? Playing LA or San Diego, those places, I love playing there. But like, yeah, honestly, like, I don't. It really doesn't matter on like it could just be a cool venue. It could be a cool vibe. It could meet some cool people, and that would like sway me to be like, that was the most fun, whatever thing we've ever played. So it's up in the air. I just like playing out for sure. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Favorite venue to play?
We played Gilman, and we had a fucking crazy show with that on that Backtrack tour. We played with like King Nine played that show. And that was fucking crazy. I feel like when I was on stage for that show, I feel like I was very much in the moment, and it was like looking around like, yeah, we're playing Gilman, and we were all just like rocking out, going crazy, and that was a fun experience. And then the next day, I lost my voice in San Diego. It was fine. We pushed through it, but that show, Gilman, was worth it. We went
You
off.
still remember it, right? So
Yeah,
that's pretty awesome to play there. It
yeah.
is. Okay, ask you personally here. So, favorite show you attended, and then
Favorite?
maybe a couple. So,
Yeah. There's a bunch. I saw like Jesus and Mary Chain, and that was cool. I saw fucking Drive Like Jehu at the Bell House, and that was like one of the coolest shows I've ever been to. Um, you know, it's so hard for me to just pick one. My favorite show ever. I don't know, man. It's really hard to say. I guess one of those would have to
one of
do.
those. Cool.
Yeah.
Favorite Long Island venue that's now closed?
I really loved Free Space, as hot and shitty as it was. You probably remember Free Space, right?
Yeah, that's come up here. It has.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's come up. That's come up a couple times, honestly, on this podcast. Yeah.
I have
Mhm.
good memories attached to that because I was very young, and like seeing Kill Your Idols there and like the early Crime and Stereo days and like celebrity murders and like bands like that from like the deep Long Island world at the time, where it was cool seeing them there. Like seeing Killer Idols there was fucking crazy and
Yeah.
just fun, good memories. Open the side door and have the giant fan because it's fucking so everyone's dying. But those are great memories. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. So now I'm going to ask you now, outside of obviously your banter, your top three favorite albums of all time, or even like most influential. Not in order, but just top three that come to mind.
Hmm. Today, my most influential albums. I really always loved the Beatles' Revolver album.
It's a great album.
I
That
always,
is
oh, man.
phenomenal.
Yeah, like my dad used to play that in the car when I was like a little kid, and I was like, "What the fuck? This is weird." And he's like, "Yeah, it's the Beatles," and I'm like, "What?"
The whole thing is
Blow my
is
mind.
just is great.
Yeah, yeah. So that's definitely one of them. I don't know, man. Favorite albums of all time. That's so hard.
It is.
Shit.
I was asked this once, and it's just like I'm going to ask somebody that, like, it's just so I could be on the other end watching someone answer it.
How could you do this to me? I don't know. I love Guided by Voices, so I'll say B1000 is one of my favorite albums. I don't know if you ever heard that sound like
Yeah,
it's lo-fi.
I have. I like them. My buddy Mark is really big. He's really into them. So
Uh,
yeah. Mhm.
Mark Bloom.
Mark, no, he's Mark.
Uh,
My friend Mark Curtis. Yeah,
uh,
he's big time. He's really into them.
True. All right, cool. Yeah, so I'll say that today, and then I'll say Um, Teenage Fan Club Grand Prix.
Cool. Okay. And they came up here for you already.
Yeah.
So a band or artist that you like that may surprise people.
Oh man. So my friend puts me on to like some weird like dance shit.
Hmm.
I can't remember the name of the dude. Ah, man. Yeah, I don't know. I like a lot of shit. I don't know if anyone would be surprised. I'm into like '90s hip hop. That's not weird though. I feel like, but like I love '90s hip hop. I'm like
Yeah,
pretty big
same here.
hip hop
Hmm.
head. I love like Gangstar and Mobb Deep and shit like that. So that's my shit.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
What did you listen to? What did you listen to last?
Let's take a look. I don't know if I'm gonna fuck this
I
up.
say it's all the time. It's so funny. You can go all through all these things. I would too. You always have to like. I forgot what I listened to last.
Yeah.
You know.
I was Born to Expire by Leeway.
The leeway. Nice. Nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Um, writing or performing? You love writing, and you
I
guys
love
love
writing.
writing.
Yeah, I love writing. I do love performing too. Writing is always kind of like you're just hanging out, and yeah, you can get writer's block or something, but then you can put it down and come back. When you're performing, it's like you're stuck there. You can't just, you have to do it. So in that sense, I guess writing is just always kind of like you can take your time with it. You can let it marinate. You can sleep on it. You can not touch it for a week and come back or whatever, or not touch it for fucking 10 years and then come back to it like we did with some of these songs on this record. But yeah, man, I guess writing is like what I really enjoy. I love playing too, but writing is chill. So
You just enjoy the process of it, right? So
sure,
yeah, the whole thing.
the journey.
Yeah. So last one here, man. So what are some new bands you've been listening to lately?
All right, so some new bands. Um, so there's this band, um, Classic Traffic, that's really sick from Jersey. They're playing our record release. There's another band from Jersey called Beauty, that's
Mm.
really insane. They're kind of like a pop rocky, just rock and roll band. They rule. Um, you know, uh, who's some new? Oh, Spin. They're also playing our record release. This band Spin. Shout out to Eric Susi. Um, they're great, super catchy, like dream pop stuff. So yeah, we've always played with hardcore bands. We've always played with like random punk bands, emo bands. We play with every kind of band. You know what I mean? We never like cared. Let's just all play. You know what I mean? There's this
Yeah.
metal band practices like next door to our studio, and they came over once. And they're like, "Yo, you guys are fucking sick!" Like, and they like became our friends, and they were cool. And we listened to them too through the wall. So it's like we don't play. So newer bands, yeah, I guess Spin, fucking Classic Traffic, and Beauty, are dope.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Frank, thanks so much. This was a great conversation. It was great going over, hearing how you guys in Somerset Thrower went about the new album. I think it's cool that people can hear about each track because it gives kind of a cool background to each of it. There is a story behind each song. The new album's great, and it's you're gonna have fun promoting this one the next year or two, man. So thanks for coming on here, Frank. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you having me, man.
Of course. Hang tight here. I'm just gonna end this off. All right. Thank you for listening to the What Lies Ahead podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms. Go save the What Lies Ahead podcast playlist on Spotify that features all bands that were on the show. For more information on future episodes, you can go to my Instagram account and follow at What Lies Ahead _podcast and on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead podcast. See you on the next episode.